This season marks a new beginning. Witness the raw power, iconic sound, and pure speed from the historic Lotus 79. Experience the competition and glory days of early 80s open-wheel action. Watch as drivers wrestle these ground effects cars into submission. Drivers will face off wheel to wheel. For some, it's a chance at redemption. For others, an opportunity to make a statement. All sharing the same goal, to be crowned champion. Tune in Thursday nights on the iRacing Esports Network to watch the premier historic open wheel series on iRacing, the Lionheart Retro Series presented by Butt Kicker.
Hello from Dream Vacations. We look forward to helping you plan a cruise vacation where you can race your friends on the top deck while cruising the oceans, or you can compete with your friends in style with virtual reality racing on board. If cruising is not for you, we can send you to Germany where you can challenge the ring, or whisk you off to Abu Dhabi to take on the world's fastest roller coaster in Ferrari World. Whatever your dream vacation may be, let Dream Vacations handle the details and make that dream into a reality. Visit us at www.travelwithanangel.com.
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Overbay finally returns to the top step of the podium, and that, combined with Unger's disappointing result, has closed the competition significantly. Much like the draft battle we saw last week at Spa, Road America is sure to keep things tight. But Spa's wide sweeping corners are certainly not like the sharp 90-degree bends here in Wisconsin. Will the two translate? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 7 of the PRL Radical Racing Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Nick Schmeg. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Nick, we're back at Elkhart Lake once again, and I expect it should provide the same action it always does.
Yeah, I agree, Joe. I think it's safe to say that with what we know about Road America, we're going to see another thrilling race this evening. This is a track that brings out the fans, and it brings out the excitement as well, and the passion in all the drivers. A big reason as to why that happens here is because the track is just simply a blast to drive. It's 4 miles, or about 6.5 kilometers, rolling through the Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin woods and rolling green scenery. And amongst the 14 turns here, none of them are very similar to each other at all. After the long and steep uphill front stretch, you dive down into a series of fast 90-degree corners that slowly get tighter and tighter. Watch for that elevation change as well in turns like 5 and 6 to trip up some of even the most veteran racers through these low-body chassis radicals. They may be able to make up any mistakes, though, later on in the lap in places like the Hurry Downs and the Carousel. But they can't get their hopes too high, because they have got to conquer later portions of the track like the Kink and Canada Corner, where the track tightens up, but the speeds do anything but slow down. Throw into all that some roller coaster fun drafting, some passing, and if the close quarters get too close, most likely some attrition as well. Before we get racing, though, hopefully the drivers will be able to make one single lap around here. And to learn that lap, allow me to send you down to the front stretch, to the GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Phil Lake and the GSRC Radical, so let's do a lap around Road America. Down the front stretch, expect the draft to be huge here. But while you can definitely try to get it past with a slipstream, trying to outbrake someone into the first corner might be a bit tough. Be wary of putting wheels in the dirt on the exit, and then you're headed towards turn 3. This is definitely among the most important corners on the track. It empties onto the moraine sweep, so fail to carry your speed off the corner and expect to lose gobs of time. It also leads up to the most popular passing spot on the track, turn 5. But the tricky thing here is because it's steeply downhill, it's easy to come in too hot and blow the corner. Quickly, you're heading back uphill into turn 6. This blind crest not only gets the car light, but makes hitting your turn-in and apex pretty finicky. No time to rest because you've got to switch sides and feather your way through 7 and into the Hurry Downs. Every so often, drivers will get a good enough run that they can spring a surprise attack into turn 8. You've always got to keep your head on a swivel just in case. Now we've reached the Carousel, which will require some real patience. Even though there isn't much in the way of braking, if you get too eager with a throttle, you'll understeer wide and have to lift. This can be costly since you won't be braking until Canada Corner, and it'll take away a ton of your momentum. Now, the infamous kink is easily flat out, but a too wide situation might still be a bit hairy. Then you're weaving your way down through the kettle bottoms. Because it's not totally straight, it can cause some miscommunication whether a car is defending into Canada Corner. You've got to make your attack or defense decisive. At the same time, try not to overshoot it by outbraking yourself because you'll wind up in the gravel. Ease back onto the power, and up next is Bill Mitchell Bend. It's blind, it's fast, and it's easy to lose the car, so don't take this one for granted. Finally, the last corner can make or break your lap. Get a bad run and you're going to feel it all the way up this steep uphill to the line. It can certainly make you vulnerable to anyone behind you, but hopefully you've kept it all together and have now finished a lap around Road America. We usually manage to catch it sunny out during our lap guides, but we're not always so lucky during the race. As you can see, drastically different conditions from that example lap. But the PRL Radical Racing Series is brought to you by Dream Vacations. Dream Vacations provides completely customizable vacation packages from your door to your destination and back. Go to travelwithanangel.com and let us worry about the details. Big thanks to Dream Vacations for sponsoring this season of the Radical Racing Series. But the championship, as I mentioned, has closed up. Let's take a look at the points, 5 of them separating Overbay and Unger. Despite Unger seemingly having a little bit better pace than Overbay much of this season, Overbay has been incredibly consistent, and his first win really helped out a bunch. Eric Luke unfortunately had to take a drop week last week after his late race wreck. And you see Gunderson gains points with a nice 4th, moving him to 4th. That bumps down McLaughlin to the bottom of the top 5. Let's look at the team's championship. Nick, how does that appear right now?
Yeah, well, lots to fight for over here in the team standings as well, and not quite much closing in for first and second. Left Side Drive Racing still at the top. They're now up to 286 points. Harmon and Unger looking awfully strong up there. They're 39 points over Blown Tranny Racing in second, and another big gap. And this is where it gets interesting. the battle for third place, Crash for Cash, is up here with McLaughlin and Wildridge. They're in third for now after being bumped all the way up to sixth. Only 5 points back, though. Christian Gritzko, after his second place finish last week, that helped bump the Project 2 Racing guys up to fourth. They actually stayed in fourth, but it closed in the gap quite a bit. Fraley's Auto Body as well in fifth. And if you're wondering where Michael Overbay and his team is, they're only 1 point off of this graphic in sixth with Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing. So lots of teams within only 9 points of each other battling for that third place position.
Oof, that is very tight there. Let's take a look and see what this race holds in store for those teams. Maybe it could make a difference. It is round 7, as I mentioned. Now, they do still have a restricted fuel cell, and because it is a 45-minute race, it is a one required pit stop for fuel in this race. That'll make a big difference because of how thirsty this circuit is. They have an incident cap as well. If you fell afoul of that at Spa, not sure that we'll see some fall victim to it here at Road America, but you never know. They have no spare car to save them. If you get damaged, you got to come in and get it repaired, or it can just simply affect your lap times and you got to gut it out throughout the race. We saw that with Unger last time. That was partly to blame, we believe, for his slow pace at Spa with a wrecked front aerodynamic section of the car. Now, this series is brought to you on the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure and subscribe when you get the opportunity. All you got to do is go to their YouTube page and click the subscribe button. Not only will you catch the PRL Radical Racing Series, but all of the official iRacing World Championship Series are broadcast on there. We're in the midst of our qualifying. We got a little less than 5 minutes left to go. Padavani, Glitter Pants, has come back, and he's put it on the pole for the moment. But the almighty battle that is raging between Unger and Overbay currently sits in favor of the Australian. The number 19 is on the front row.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see this battle kind of interrupted by Jefferson Padavani, his return, running a part-time schedule this year. I'm not sure how much the other drivers know of what races he's going to be able to run, but he's here at Road America, and for now, that's going to demote Unger and Overbay from first and second down to second and third.
Well, the good news for Overbay is that Padavani is his teammate.
Yes.
And so Padavani isn't fighting for the championship. He is just here for the wins, which may mean he will go for the win. But with it being so late in the season, if he's in the position, I have to wonder if he'd be willing to hand it over to Overbay to help him in the points race.
We've seen in the real world racing quite a bit, team orders and some different tactics run by teams. It'd be interesting to see, but by the looks of the pace that Padavani's setting out, it looks like he's going for this win himself.
What if we could get our cameras on the number 11? He's currently sitting 13th. Stevie Ray comes on over from the Weekend Warriors, where he regularly races and runs that series. Has decided he enjoys prototypes of all types. And so the Texas driver here comes around to complete a lap in qualifying today, joining the Precision Racing League. Let's see if he can improve on that 2:01.1. He's going to cross the line. And that lap, unfortunately, is not going to count. Must have had an off somewhere.
It'll be interesting to see for sure how Steve Ray handles this larger, wide-bodied, a lot different handling car here than the Spec Racer 4. They kind of look the same. The SRF, more of the starter Pokemon. It's evolved up into the Radical.
So we watch Unger. That last lap, excuse me if I could speak, did not count for Unger as well. And I see that Christian Gritzko's had a recent good lap. He's jumped up to 6, got himself another podium, although maybe a bit of a surprise one after the end of last race. If you haven't watched the end of Spa, definitely go see that. That was a crazy finish. Gritzko coming around to finish this final corner as you see his teammate Rim Ambrosi pulling off to the side there. This is the Canadian with a flat 2 currently on the board. So he comes to the line, the number 28 puts in a 1:59.8, 4 tenths knocked off. That is good enough for third position inside of the second row. So that is actually incredibly close in the battle with Overbay, who is 1/100th behind Gritsko after that lap. Overbay currently leading Padavani, his teammate, around, giving him a little bit of a tow. And if they'll swap back around, with this being the last lap possible for Overbay, he's the one that definitely will want to get the tow. But this is going to be hard to make this swap without losing time here on the final lap. That last lap for Padavani did not count. Must have been on his out lap. Same thing for Overbay, though. That one is another blank. He's only had one timed lap in.
David Unger just came across the line, it looks like. Remains in second.
Yep, and that's going to be it for his qualifying. He abandons this last lap. In fact, 20 seconds left, seeing who we have close to finishing theirs. And I believe this man, Curlin Andrew, the Texan, going to be the first to take the checkered flag here in qualifying as he comes up through Bill Mitchell Bend. Out of the final corner, the steep climb uphill. The checkered flag now waves on the flag stand. The banana split car coming to the line. What has he got underneath him? He actually doesn't even have a time yet. Now he does. A 2.5 is good enough for P11.
Gritsko trying to improve as well. Comes up on the front stretch here. Sits in third now. He's going to remain there. That was about a second slower. About 0.2 slower.
Gunderson is next across the line, and that lap not any faster from Matthew. Andy Spicer is going to be next. Take a glance at him coming up the hill. Spicer currently sitting on a 2:02.7. He's in 16th position. This last lap is a 2:02.1. That's a nice bump up. Actually, I think he stays in 16th, even though he got a bunch there. Padavani's last lap, not faster. Overbay did go faster, and that gets him into third past Gritsko. Let's go back to Scotty Zerk, the number 21. Or, excuse me, the 02 abandons his lap. He sits in 21st, rather. Last car to follow him to the line is going to be a Bear. He is going to try and finish this lap, but it's not going to be any faster than his 2:03.8. So that is going to finish out our qualifying results and give us our starting grid. It is going to be Jefferson Padavani coming back on that partial schedule and taking the pole. David Unger has the leg up, at least for now. We'll see what the start holds. He'll be P2. Overbay on the inside of row 2 in third. Christian Gritsko, sort of a hot and cold driver, will start P4. Can he bring it home to the checkered flag today? Owen McLaughlin will be 5th with Eric Harmon starting P6. Then it's Eric Luke, unusually slow qualifying for the 09. He'll start 7th. Rim Ambrosi, P8 with Christopher Richards starting 9th, and then Mark File rounds out your top 10.
Behind File in 11th, it's one of the two Texans in the field tonight. Curlin Andrew, he will start P11 alongside Matthew Gunderson in the 33 car. Paul Wildridge is going to be the Baker's Dozen position tonight in 13th in that 67 machine. And alongside him, you'll find the other Texan in the field accompanying us tonight, Stevie Ray, going to be there in 14th in the number 11. Tyler Gore will round out the top 15, followed by Andy Spicer, Daniel Barnett, Ronald McManus, David A. Bear, and Phil Yeoman, rounding out the top 20. Scotty Zerk comes across the line 21st, about 4 seconds off the pace, and Nate Lacombe might be a DNS tonight. Looks that way, starting 22nd.
Yeah, he is not signed into the session yet, and time is running out for him to get to the grid. We'll see if he shows up last second here, as all the cars now making their way out to that front stretch. Standing start in this series could make for a little bit of chaos. And awesome last week, Mark File falling victim to that. He unfortunately got bumped off the track when Gunderson got into the back of him before they even hit turn 1 at La Source. This one a little less of a sharp corner, but still everybody's going to be eager to try and move their way through. So as we see from the blimp, the cars all making their way out. It is going to be Padavani up at the front. Everybody's now on the grid, so the lights come up, the engines rev. Green flag is out here at Road America off the line. It is a horrible start from Unger, but so from Overbay. In fact, it's Gritzko who manages to take advantage of them. He's going to try and sneak through the middle, possibly. He splits it 3 wide. Gritzko's good on the brakes. Oh, and he makes contact. No. He gets turned around, and that's Overbay getting into him. More cars are turning over through turn 1. It is an absolute mess.
This is teammate Rem Ambrosi as we stay up front. Some crazy battles off the get-go.
Well, Padavani's loving this. He's already 2 seconds up from the rest of the field. Unger runs in second place, and Eric Luke from 7th finds himself on the podium before the first 2 turns are over. Behind him, McLaughlin holds off Andrew. Richards also battling with Wildridge. Overbay does manage to get the car going, but how much damage does that car have? He's down to 8th.
Definitely shuffled the order. A lot of the faster guys, I think, got put back there. But like you said, they do probably have damage, so it's going to be a fight against their own will, and also a fight against that damage in the car handling here.
And I think Overbay's handling is not looking good. He's going very, very slow. Something must have happened. We'll get back to that later.
That's good news for David Unger, who continues to chase down Jefferson Padavani, but it's becoming less and less of a chase. Padavani's really extending that gap here on lap 1.
Boy, is he. Down into Canada corner, still at about that 2 seconds up. And don't count out Eric Luke. He's found his legs underneath him recently, having got his first win finally this season. So right on board with Curlin Andrews sitting P5, giving chase on McLaughlin. We could have a pass here down the front stretch. The slipstream pretty powerful. They come up to the first corner. He's gaining. The banana split car looking down the inside, but not quite far enough up the inside. McLaughlin's still going to give him space anyways, and effectively gives up the spot. Aggressive stuff from Andrew to take P4.
See what kind of slipstream McLaughlin gets headed his way. He might be more worried about Christopher Richards behind him, though. He's tightened that gap as well for 5th.
Richards, another one of our climbers, started this race in 9th. Seeing if he could get into the top 5. He's close behind McLaughlin, as we see from the camera view, but not close enough. Sticks his nose in anyway, and McLaughlin is very polite today. He still gives space. This actually allows his teammate Paul Wildridge to get up around the outside of Richards as we go to second place, where Unger suddenly finds himself overtaken by Luke. This was, well, let's get a replay of this because Unger just outbraked himself into 5.
Yeah, that hard braking zone. It's a slight downhill there to the left-hander, and then it shoots you uphill into turn 6. And yeah, outbraked himself, and it looks like got up on the curbing as well, had to recover.
There's an open goal for Eric Luke, who slipped on by, but Unger looks like he wants it back pretty quickly. They're coming down the Kettle Bottoms towards Canada Corner, and Unger makes his intent known early, tries to outbrake Luke into it. Luke gives him space, but he holds him off momentarily. It's going to continue on as they hit Bill Mitchell Bend, and this is a single file corner. Unger knows it, he backs out. Whoa, a little bit deep into the final turn for Luke there, Nick.
Yeah, I definitely don't think he was expecting that. You're just saying Unger was backing out, and that looked like the exact opposite there at the last second from him trying to overtake Luke in front of him. He's going to take it down into turn 1 once again here.
He's got the inside, wheel to wheel into the first corner. Luke braking a little bit early, or maybe Unger braking a little bit too late. as he goes wide off the corner, and it swings right back in favor of Luke, who moves into second position once more. All this back and forth has allowed Curl and Andrew to get right up to the back of both of them, and already Andrew using the draft to see if he can get himself into the podium.
Out of nowhere, Curl and Andrew started way back in 11th, and he continues to fight his way up here, which is now for a podium, like you said. And in front of them, a little bit of lockup from Eric Luke there. He's going to hold down the position for now.
We're just getting awful tight, and there's getting to be more and more cars coming up to this group. Richards, Wildridge also starting to close in. McLaughlin ahead of them. Padovani seems to be struggling, though. He set the fastest lap of the race last time by, but he's losing ground quickly. It is 1 second between himself and Luke, and dropping.
Yeah, they're definitely reeling him in. I didn't see too many mistakes from Padovani.
It's only been half a lap since he set the fastest lap of the race. I'm just kind of baffled by that, and I think we had a problem with Wildridge, did we not? He's disappeared on my screen.
Might be a connection issue. That'd
All right,
be unfortunate for him.
Yeah, we'll look at that in a little bit. I can tell you that Stevie Ray had a bit of a spin. Oh, and Mark File is smoking. Looks like he blew his engine down into Canada Corner.
Ooh.
The 777. This has been a miserable couple of races.
Haven't seen that too much this year.
Shift down, and Bluey. Fortunately, you let all the smoke out, and the car stops working. So, Mark File had to take a tow. Going to third place, where Unger, losing a little touch with Eric Luke, is still continuously under threat from Curl and Andrew. He's looking like a potential good opportunity, though Unger will still gain points over his main rival Overbay at this rate. I'm sure he'd like to try and maximize this, and third place is certainly not maximum points.
Saw another bit of a lockup there ahead of him with Jefferson Padovani. He's really starting to lose that big gap he had pulled away. Eric Luke continues to close that in as they head into the carousel.
And we haven't seen much change in the weather. It's still roughly the same. It's been 75, 74 degrees Fahrenheit on the track surface since qualifying. So I'm really kind of confused as to what is throwing a wrench in things for Padovani. As we jump back to fifth place, this is McLaughlin and Richards in a tight little fight down to Canada Corner.
Richards, another one that had a really good start, got through all that carnage. Back in ninth place, he started fighting for a top 5 now.
So work their way through. It looks like he's going to solidify that P5. Christopher Richards onto the front stretch, now setting his sights on Curlin Andrew. The minutes are ticking away very fast, already 10 minutes into this race. And I think we've had more problems with Stevie Ray. I think this one happened at the kink. No, it looks like Canada Corner, actually. This car was already damaged, I think.
Yeah, looks that way. Yeah, loose on corner exit there.
Oh, I think mid-corner, it looks like the curb maybe upset the car a little bit. It started to bounce around, and then the Texan quickly lost control, hits the concrete. He's already taken it into the pits. We've had a high attrition rate here at the start. Ambrosi, Gritzko, Overbay, File, now Ray, all are sitting in their stalls taking repairs. McManus having problems now. One out of turn 3, just losing control. It's Certainly opens up opportunities for a bear on Andy Spicer. Down to the inside at turn 5. Behind him, McManus outbraking himself into the corner. In the meantime, a bear holds off Phil Gilman for P12, but can't manage to get by Spicer either.
All 4 of these cars going to be lined up nose to tail now. That slipstream we've really been seeing really all season long at a lot of these races. It looks like Eric Luke has slowly but surely caught Padavani for the lead.
Yeah, it is down to 0.3 of a second now, up from 1.8. It is open setup in these cars. Maybe, for whatever reason, Luke is just a little better over multiple laps. Now, Unger has been chasing them, but he's stuck at about 1.1 to 1.3 seconds behind these two. If they start battling, that could change. Unger actually just set the fastest lap of the race. So Unger is gaining.
Unger closing in on him for sure, but definitely the last thing he wants to do now, especially that Michael Overbay is seemingly out of this race, the last thing he wants to do tonight is get himself into trouble. This is going to be a fantastic points night for him over that number 1 car of Overbay. So he doesn't want to get too mixed up in the action, but like you said, if they start battling up here, Luke and Padavani that is, he could definitely find himself in the middle of something.
Yeah, it's going to be a risk versus reward sort of night, and Padavani responding a little bit. It was down to 0.3 of a second. It's back up to 0.7, and now all 3 of them leveling out into something of a stalemate. Unger getting caught about 0.8 behind Luke, who is 0.6 behind Padavani, and they are a whole 4 seconds ahead of Christopher Richards back in 4th place. So this is a podium battle to sort out the top spots. Oh, and just as I say that, Richards has lost control. Richards sends it into the barrier out of turn 8.
Running in 4th place at the time, too. He had just gotten around Curlin Andrew for that position.
He barely kept it out of the tires. You can see into the hurry downs.
Yeah.
You know, I made a note for myself. I just can't keep it from turning around. I made a note for myself tonight that throttle control, who's got it? And I think it's making a big difference. We've seen many cars off the corner just completely loop it.
Yeah, getting on that pedal a little too quickly and a little too aggressively has definitely caught some of these drivers out of their mindset. I think that's what happened at the start of the race too when we saw that large accident happen.
I think that might have kicked it off when Gritsko got the jump, but I feel like that opening accident, which I think we've got time for now, we've got the replay spooled up. I think it was mostly due to contact in turn 1 between Gritsko and I believe it was Unger. They got involved in it. It looks like we just after it. Yeah, here we go, down into the first corner. This will give us a great view from above. There you see the 3 wide. And that was Unger that got into the side of Gritsko, but weirdly it turned him to the inside instead of turning him out to the outside of the corner. Some strange netcode going on.
Yeah, it must have gotten him a little sideways there. It looked like it initially did turn him to the outside, and I think Gritsko just really tried to rapidly save that car, and that's what jerked him over towards the inside.
You can see all the cars piling into him, unfortunately. So we come back live. Nothing's changed between the top 3. Padavani leads Luke, leads Unger, all equidistant apart. Getting close to this pit window. And I'm wondering if we'll see anybody try to take an early stop, especially with how these 3 seem to be stuck together. All 3 of them are going to continue on this lap at least. Let's give some credit, though, to 4th place, Curlin Andrew. He inherited that after Richards had his spin. He's got Owen McLaughlin still trying to chase him down. McLaughlin there, you see the blue machine chasing the yellow car of Andrew. But he's not within striking distance, at least right now.
That seems to be a lot of the drivers' issues here, just that kind of stalemate like you were talking about. These drivers get up towards the car in front of them, and then they just can't quite get up there and pass. They have all that dirty air in the wake behind them, especially like you see here on this long straightaway.
Look at him pull away. Great run by Andrew to keep himself very, very safe from McLaughlin. They hit turn 5. Not going to be an attempt this time through. So who's been our hard charger through all of this with so many having trouble? Looks like Tyler Gore, I believe, has gained the most from what I can tell, from 15th to 6th. The 77 is within the top 10, but also sort of in, well, I was going to say he was in no man's land, but I think, no, he's not close to McLaughlin. So he's being chased by Christopher Richards, just trying to make his own way.
Yeah, great drive for Tyler Gore today. Came off of a 8th place finish last week at Spa.
Of the drivers that had early problems, we mentioned a lot of them went in for repairs. Well, Overbay's not given up. He's come back out, although he's 5 laps down. He had 10 minutes of repair. He's in 19th. Christian Gritzko, who was also involved in that opening incident, 12 minutes of repair. And he wound up 18th, also 5 laps down. So he and Overbay are close enough that they could wind up having a little bit of a fight for these lower positions. But at this point, it is essentially just a drive to see what scraps they can pick up. So let's go to 10th for Daniel Barnett with a side-by-side with Andy Spicer. Spicer comes out ahead, and that gives him one more spot up the field here.
That blue car you see behind him is Paul Wildridge following in their footsteps as well. Wildridge had some problems in the race, but remember that lucky podium he wound up with last week at Spa with a very surprise 3rd place finish for him. As now he's going to get around Daniel Barnett, another spot lost for the 66.
That 66 is struggling of some sort of issue, so hopefully he can get that sorted out. Most of our drivers have spread out pretty far, except for 4th place. Owen McLaughlin has finally reeled in Curlin Andrew. He had it down to less than half a second. He still got it down to less than half a second as the sun finally pokes its head out of the hurry downs and into the carousel. Can he do anything with this? Could be a critical spot if he could get the run. Oh, but he washes out. He's going to try to cut back in, get the launch down through the kettle bottoms. Not sure that it's going to be enough.
They go through the kink. He tries to keep that toe within range, and it looks like he is going to be able to reel him in, headed down towards Canada Corner a little more, but still not quite within striking distance, just enough to get up underneath his rear wing.
Now, did we miss a pass between Luke and Unger recently? I thought Luke was ahead of David, but they are currently Unger in 2nd, Luke in 3rd for some reason. See, we've got the replay. Let's see if we can pull this up. So up at the top of your screen. In the meantime, Padovani setting the fastest lap. This looks to be into the hurry downs, into turn 8. Luke just going way too wide, and Unger has an easy pass.
And surprised to see as we come back live, Eric Luke go that far off track and really not lose as much ground as you might expect after an incident like that. Unger not too far away from him.
Certainly keeping the pressure on. 26 minutes left on the clock here in round 7 at Road America. So he stays with the driver ahead. Now, I wonder if we could go to David Hebert, because I think we might have an overtake brewing up. Ronald McManus fighting him for 13th and he's got a very good slipstream down the front stretch. He's going to poke to the inside, up towards turn 1. And his connection issues causing him to blink out momentarily, but he's good on the brakes. So give Ronald McManus that 13th spot.
Bear going to try to stay in touch with him here down the long straightaway. Going to try to reel him in. It's kind of hard to reel in a car blinking like that, but hopefully he's going to be able to get up alongside of him safely here.
He's going to take the inside, the Moraine sweep, giving enough of a slipstream, but he's not brave enough on the brakes. Oh! And Ronald McManus locking him up. A four-wheel drift through turn 5. He recovers, but not until he loses that 13th spot right back. Taking a glance at 6th place, the number 49, as Tyler Gore climbing all over the back of him. He's going to get a great opportunity here as they come up to the main straight. Don't forget, Gore also has his teammate Gunderson behind him.
Yeah, that's Owen McLaughlin pitting. Looks like our first scheduled pitter of the night.
So this is about to get fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as we saw them with a three-car battle on the front stretch there, Owen McLaughlin just ahead of him, spot ahead of him. He came in from 5th. He might trigger something here.
He hits his stall cleanly, but back up in that battle for 6. Gore is now on the back of Richards on the Moraine sweep. They come down to turn 5. We saw this go south for McManus just a few moments ago when he braked way too late, but Richards is a little bit more savvy than that. He keeps the car from locking up, and he holds on to P5.
They take a little bit of a different line there through turn number 6. Through the hurry downs now. Gore's still trying to chase him.
He's trying to pry something away from the number 49. Certainly had a good run for part of Spa, but had his fair share of mistakes. We ride on board with Tyler now, looking up towards Richards. This will give us a great shot going through the kink. Just these cars whipping through there. Keeps getting close, but just can't seem to get within attacking range. I can report that McLaughlin has come back out, and he's having to work with traffic. He just overtook Daniel Barnett to get into 10th. This may backfire, this early stop. Good news is he's got clear track now that he's gotten past those two. Meanwhile, David Unger has somehow reeled in Jefferson Padavani. Glitterpants is under threat. He's been leading for this whole race, but that is about to dissipate from the looks of it.
Yeah, he's caught him for sure. They go down the Moraine sweep here. Headed down towards that hard braking zone, the downhill into the tight turn 5, the left-hander. Unger taking a peek. He's going to duck back in line for now. Padavani a little defensive there as they get up wide on the curbing.
Unger looking for those max points I was talking about. So far, this race has really been falling into his lap. Even though he had a chaotic start to it, Luke, who got by, gave up the position through his own mistake. Unger back to P2. Now he's reeled in Padavani and is certainly looking to see if he can manage to get himself another win. Some more drivers pitting. Daniel Barnett and Andy Spicer both in. See the crazy multicolored car of Daniel Barnett finding his stall on the front stretch, getting their service. That going to be a decent stop? Yes, it will be. Just over 15 seconds, but Spicer is not. Spicer is in for a long time. Not sure if he's repairing damage or if he's got a speeding penalty. think it's some damage because he's still in there past an extra 15 seconds.
Battle for 5th place brewing right now. Christopher Richards still holding off Tyler Gore. Remember, Tyler Gore, actually, that's going to end because Tyler Gore and his teammate behind him, Matthew Gunderson, are going to be our next 2 pitters of this evening.
Sounds like some definite planned stops between those two. So let's go back up to the front because Unger's still right underneath Jefferson Padavani. As they come down the Moraine sweep, they're going to put a lap on Scotty Zerk and then come back to the racing line, braking for turn 5. Not going to have an opportunity. See Zerk going way wide behind them, just trying to stay out of the way. I think I'd say both drivers look like they are hustling these cars.
Absolutely. Just hopefully they don't overdrive those cars. It's so easy to do here at Road America. Stick a tire out over the curb and get launched the wrong direction. Hopefully they are able to keep it under control. From what we've seen so far, though, both doing phenomenal jobs of that.
So out of our drivers who have pitted, McLaughlin is our highest. He actually just leapfrogged Gore and Gunderson, who came out right behind him. That moves McLaughlin up to P7. Seeing McManus taking a scheduled stop. Still waiting on Padavani, Unger, Luke, Andrew, Richards, Wildridge, Hebert, and Gilman, as well as Zerk, to take scheduled stops.
Here comes David Unger.
Wonder if this is going to allow him to leapfrog our leader, Jefferson Padavani. Luke stays out.
He's going to try to jump Padavani using the very strategic Unger cut.
David still going to his pit stall. That tells you how long this pit lane is, especially when you're all the way up at the top.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it also shows you just how well he qualified. Puts him all the way there, almost at the last pit stall, the third to last pit stall there.
There's going to be no worry about McLaughlin jumping him, who is our highest pitter, because McLaughlin still isn't even to the last corner. It's a slightly long stop for Unger, though. 17 seconds. That does not bode well for the number 19. Boy, I wonder if Padavani is aware of what's going on, if he'll respond, pit this lap to ensure, as long as he gets a decent lap, he'll be well ahead of Unger.
I heard Unger revving the engine pretty high there, sitting in the pit stall. It might have slowed down the fueling a little bit. We do see a lot of drivers do that just to try to get a big launch off, but you gotta be careful.
So Padavani's coming down through the kettle bottoms into Canada Corner. This is his chance to respond with 17 minutes left. In fact, there's very few laps left that he can make before he will have to pit.
It's a good chance for Eric Luke to respond as well. That slow stop by David Unger might allow Eric Luke to close back in on that gap and maybe make a battle for second out of it. Padavani's coming in.
All right. And so is Luke. They've got a big gap to the next car back. Unger only just now coming through the kink. I suspect we're seeing the closing of the pit window because Curlin Andrew following them in. So is Christopher Richards. Paul Wildridge still has quite a bit to go. In fact, he's still behind David Unger, even after David Unger has taken his pit stop. Padavani's gotten to his stall. So has Luke.
Unger's on the front stretch.
Padavani's still stationary. It's getting up to 15 seconds. 16-second stop. Still a little bit long, but shorter than what we saw with Unger. Unger's got the momentum. They're coming up to turn 1, but he's going to be just shy.
Definitely did not lose nearly as much time and ground as we may have thought he was going to with that longer stop, though. Look at him reel it in, and he's still got the momentum down on the Marine sweep here. He might be able to draft past him.
Driver that lost out was Luke, but let's stay with this. He has definitely got the draft. Look at him. Look to the outside as Padavani drifts across to stay defensive, covering off the desirable line. Unger's going to try to go the long way around, but he outbrakes himself slightly, locking the tires up. It's a drag race up to turn 6, into the crest. Padavani still holding him off. The second left-hander helps him retain the lead.
Let's see what kind of run he gets through the hurry downs. Less of a straightaway here to work with and try to slingshot around someone, but it's a more technical section. You see Padavani go a little bit wider there than Unger in his nicer apex. Oh, through the carousel, very tight entry.
Tell you what, they keep fighting like this. Eric Luke might get back in the game. We go on board with Unger, the Aussie versus the Brazilian. Flying down the kettle bottoms. He falls back slightly, but looking very good under braking.
They've got a long bit of racing left to go, too. Still 14 minutes left in this race. They've got to keep it clean and concise. They've got to keep it friendly with each other.
Unger more so than Padavani.
Absolutely.
And that makes me wonder, Padavani's got nothing to lose. Unger has everything to lose. He's got a slipstream up the front stretch as well, and the momentum is allowing to get side by side with Jefferson. Jefferson holds him off, covering off the inside. Can he get it off the corner? He does. Somehow, Padavani holds Unger back. Unger looks for the over-under, and it just does not quite work. They come through turn 3. Here we go again with another slipstream. What can David do?
We've talked to David Unger so many times after some successful runs, and he says he just likes to take each race day by day. He's not focused on the big picture. If he winds up with the championship, so be it. He wants to go out there and win this race, no matter what the point situation looks like, and he is definitely showing that here, putting it all on the line.
Come around 6, up towards 7, and into the hurry downs. The 19 pressurizes the 69. Padavani responding slightly, stretching out where he can. Not missing much else throughout the rest of the field. They've actually even pulled more of a gap to Eric Luke despite the battling, which is impressive. So most podiums of the season still belongs to David Unger, even though he missed out last time. Kerlin Andrew behind them, trying to shake off Matthew Gunderson. This is coming through the kink. And that was swapped around, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
We did see Kerlin Andrew in the first green flag stint of this race battling with Tyler Gore. That has swapped, like you said.
Padavani's wrecked. Padavani
no.
has come off course, and he had help. This was into the final corner.
Ooh, a little bit of a bump from Unger. You're right.
And we haven't seen anything in the chatter from Padavani. There you see the onboard, the definite contact between the two. That pushed him down to third as Luke then got by, but Unger already got some complaints from Gritsko for the opening incident, so I'm not sure if the other drivers are going to be very happy with the Aussie.
Yeah, not making too many friends tonight. Just to defend Unger a little bit here, I mean, you could see the smoke come out from the rear tires. He locked up the brakes as soon as he realized he was about to make contact with Padavani, so he definitely tried to stay off of him there.
And it almost looked like Padavani got a little loose on his way into the corner, so I wonder if he was slower than he expected. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of factors that could have gone into that. So we jump back to 4th place, Owen McLaughlin currently ahead of Christopher Richards. Last time Owen McLaughlin was in fourth, he was battling for a podium. It's not really so much this time, but as you said, he got surprised last time. You never know.
Oh, there was big trouble behind them. Is this Matthew Gunderson? Just took a hard hit.
I think this was in turn 7. He was trying to chase down Curlin Andrew. Took too much curb. Oh! It's
not pretty.
It's not the wreck that hurts, it's the sudden stop. And Matthew Gunderson, unfortunately, got a lot of hurt there. Had to take a tow. We come back to that battle for fourth between McLaughlin, who goes off track coming through Canada corner. Richards easily takes that fourth place away.
All of a sudden, handling just going away for these drivers, and the track temperature and the conditions really haven't changed much. We've seen the sun peek out occasionally.
It's gotten mildly hotter. It's 78 degrees on the track surface now, but that's, I'd say, a relatively small difference.
I think the big difference for these drivers is the fact that they are just getting late in the race, and everyone is close to someone else. Just they've got something to fight for here. And they are a lot of times just overdriving themselves.
Certainly do. We continue to watch Richards and McLaughlin fight it out for P4 with less than 10 minutes to go. I think McLaughlin a little too far back down this stretch. To find out once they hit the braking zone to turn 5. Indeed, Owen just going to stay in line. Let's run you down some of our drivers just to get you up to speed on what's been going on in this race. David Unger, he started in second place on the front row, and he has only led a few of the laps. He eventually ran into the back of Jefferson Padavani. That spun Padavani around, and that handed David Unger the lead. He has not looked back since. To second place, which is Eric Luke, who inherited it because of Padavani's problems. But Luke has been struggling for pace today. He had some luck go his way for turn 1, where a lot of cars in front made a mad scramble due to an incident that promoted him to the top 3. Since then, second is the best he can do. Jefferson Padavani, who has led the most laps of anybody in this race, unfortunately, is going to be kicking himself after this one. If things stay how they are, he runs in third position. Behind him, it's a long ways back, 13 seconds to get to Christopher Richards, who certainly is having a titanic bout with Owen McLaughlin, who rounds out our top 5. But Owen, you can see in the blue machine, is not giving up on this. He's staying right on the back of Christopher. Nick?
Yeah, and he's got a little bit of pressure from behind, not nearly as much as Richards has right now from McLaughlin, but Curlin Andrew is behind him in 6th in that banana split machine, the number 12 car. After starting 11th, he's had a good, for the most part, quiet run, I'd say, up to this 6th place position. We saw him battling earlier with Tyler Gore. That battle has since dispersed. To Gore finds his way up in 7th after his teammate Matthew Gunderson wrecks out of this thing. And so 7th place for the number 77 right now. He's got 5-second gap over Eric Harmon behind him. He's the next driver on the grid back. Eric Harmon, it is a massive gap all the way back to Daniel Barnett, who has just overtaken David Hebert for the 9th place position.
There is a minute difference between Harmon and Bennett, which is about half a lap around here. That should tell you what the situation is looking like on lapped cars. Only 13 remain on the lead lap. Granted, we have only 18, now 17 still running. That Gunderson had his problem. 4th place, not giving up on that because Owen McLaughlin taking a poke at Christopher Richards. That gives Curlin Andrew the chance to try and reel them both in. They come through the kink. Can Andrew maybe have a chance? He's carried his momentum well through that fast right-hander.
It is a traffic jam all of a sudden. They've got to keep themselves off of each other here, doing a good job of that so far. Trying to get as much of a run as they can on the car in front of him while still trying to defend, especially Owen McLaughlin, who is, unfortunately for him, stuck in the middle of this. Going to work their way back onto the front stretch. That was a good corner exit for Christopher Richards and for Curlin Andrew as well. Andrew might be able to reel in the number 5 in front of him.
He's trying. He's only got 5 more minutes to do it. As they come down the front stretch, it gets down to 2 car lengths. Not quite 1 by the time they break. So they've all got to stay in line. Richards probably looking over his shoulder, seeing 2 cars getting closer and closer. And that checkered flag can't come soon enough.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to come in about 3 laps for Richards. He's got about 12 miles of racetrack to defend.
It's going to be hard because here comes McLaughlin down into the second corner, the 5th corner. A little too far back, but threatening. We ride on board with Richards. Seeing that bright blue car continuing to weave back and forth, hoping that maybe there's going to be an opening somewhere.
You can see him in the mirror there as we look back, continue to just make jabs at that position. Takes a little bit of a peek on corner exit, headed down into the carousel. A bit of a different apex here. You can get a lot of different racing lines, a lot of different strategies through the carousel to get maximum speed headed down into the kink.
We go to 10th place. I've been keeping half an eye on this, and Abe Bear has got Andy Spicer coming up the outside of the front stretch. But don't look now. He's also got to worry about Paul Wildridge behind both of them as they break for turn 1. Abe Bear a little bit stronger. He's going to stay ahead of Spicer, but it's looking like a bit of a dying effort to try and keep that up.
Looked very close for contact there on the front stretch between Abe and Spicer. You see Spicer come right back at him. I think there was contact, and Spicer's looking awfully aggressive here.
He's got a nose in as they come down the moraine sweep. Is this going to be enough, or does he need to be closer than that? And it is going to be enough because Andy Spicer spins! And unfortunately, Paul Wildridge is the innocent victim.
Yeah, terrible place to be for Paul Wildridge. He got a surprise last week late in the race. He gets one this week late in the race, just a much different surprise.
Yeah, that 22 just came across so quickly. No time to react. We come back live. Wildridge is still going, but I think the damage on his car is dropping him back from Abe Bear, who solidifies his top 10. Go back to that battle for 4th, which is still being led by McLaughlin. Richards giving chase, and Curlin Andrew the last in the line of 3.
Yeah, Andrew looks to be sizing them up here. McLaughlin looked a little bit wide there as well ahead of him.
Wide is what you don't want in the carousel, that's for sure. Those marbles probably building up now. And Andy Spicer has taken a tow after that damage. White flag this time by for David Unger. This is not all gone his way, and he had a few crises along it. Certainly did not get the cleanest of first corners that he probably would have wanted, and then later on did not get a good, clean final corner on top of that.
We take a back look at 4th place. They make their way around Phil Guillaumin, lap traffic. Bit of a stretch now for Owen McLaughlin out there, but it's really Richards versus Andrew. But look at how close Richards closed into that gap he had with McLaughlin in front of him there.
This is going to be tight all the way to the end. They come down the moraine sweep. Richards going to try and reel him in, and in fact, he's starting to do so. Car is getting closer, bigger in the mirrors. Does he poke his nose out? He takes a look at it. He thinks about it. He tries to go deep on the brakes, but he can't go quite deep enough.
Richards has to stay clean of him, but he's got to get up there and alongside of him. He's going to have to be aggressive to do that. McLaughlin's looked awfully strong on the defensive end of things.
Unfortunately for them, we're going to have to leave that battle. David Unger. He's the only driver to have won twice so far this season, and he is now going to make it 3 as he comes through Bill Mitchell Bend. And now one more corner to go. Some lap traffic is in front of him, but certainly doesn't have to worry about that. Out of the final corner, up the hill. It is going to be David Unger who wins here today at Road America.
Eric Luke comes across in second, and problems for Christopher Richards. He's going to lose not only the battle to McLaughlin in front of him, but also Curlin Andrew going to get around him.
Oof, disappointment for him after all is said and done. McLaughlin does get what looks to be a 4th place. So as the rest of the cars trickle across the line, the closest battle we've got is Paul Wildridge and Hebert for a top 10. Attrition was a much bigger factor than I thought it would be.
Absolutely. It caught everyone off guard. Seems to do that a lot in this series, I feel like.
I'd say so. And Wildridge placing himself pretty well, just sizing up David Hebert corner by corner as they come upon Scotty Zerk, who's going to pull out of the way. Some more blinking from Wildridge on my screen. Go down to the kink through that corner, and Hebert looking quite slow actually through there. Here comes Paul Wildridge carrying the speed that little bit better. Now they come to Canada corner. He's ahead of him. Can he hold on to it though?
Gonna have to be awfully defensive here. Look at him back side by side already.
And is this going to be a drag race to the line? Wildridge backs out of it. Maybe he's thinking he could snipe him to the line. This is a risky move as they come up the hill towards the start-finish line. And I've lost them due to connection issues. So we're not going to know until afterwards. So I guess we'll have to find out later. We'll come back and tell you exactly where they finished after this break. We'll, of course, give you the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. But on screen, you can see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC.
Hello from Dream Vacations. We look forward to helping you plan a cruise vacation where you can race your friends on the top deck while cruising the oceans, where you can compete with your friends in style with virtual reality racing on board. If cruising is not for you, we can send you to Germany, where you can challenge the ring, or whisk you off to Abu Dhabi to take on the world's fastest roller coaster in Ferrari World. Whatever your dream vacation may be, let Dream Vacations handle the details and make that dream into a reality. Visit us at www.travelwithanangel.com.
Welcome back to Road America. We just watched round 7 under these gloomy skies, but it was not gloomy on track. It was all excitement. And David Unger here takes the victory, his 3rd of the season, basically almost taking max points since he did not take the pole here today. He missed out on a couple bonus points. Eric Luke is going to follow him home with Jefferson Padavani finishing in 3rd after starting it on the pole himself. Owen McLaughlin takes 4th place, and Curlin Andrew finishing in the top 5, having started in 11th. Christopher Richards with the 6th place, and then Tyler Gore was a little higher up earlier on, but falls back down to 7th. Still not bad considering he started 15th. Daniel Barnett, even better than him, going from 17th to 8th. David Hebert did 2 better than him as well, going from 19th to 9th, and then Paul Wildridge gets a top 10 today.
Behind Paul Wildridge is the last driver that will finish on the lead lap, Eric Harmon, in the 617 car, gonna come home in 11th place. Behind them, you have the drivers that are all 1 lap down. And despite being 1 lap down, they each gained 6 or 7 spots. Each Ronald McManus gaining 6 spots up to 12th. Phil Guillaumin 7 spots up to 13th, and 7 spots as well for Scotty Zerk up to 14th. 2 laps down behind them, Andy Spicer will bring it home in 15th. Matthew Gunderson had problems late in the race. That hard hit to the tire barrier that will send him to 16th. Christian Gritzko, after problems from the start, he never gave up. He kept racing, but it's going to be a 5-lap down finish for him in the 28 machine. Not the day in the points that either him or the guy behind him, Michael Overbay, would like to see. Also 5 laps down, 17th and 18th for those two. Stevie Ray, coming over here from the Weekend Warriors, unfortunately ran into some problems. He's going to come home in 19th. Mark File, 20th. Rem Ambrosi, after a little bit of a liftoff on lap 1, ends up on the wrong side of things in 21st. Nate Lacombe, going to be a DNS in 22nd.
We've got our winner ready to talk to us, David Unger, who takes his 3rd victory of the season. David, you managed to finish on the top spot, but it was not clean the whole way. You had 2 different instances of contact today. Tell us a little bit about the first one on lap 1.
Yeah, g'day guys. That first one, Christian came up a lot faster than what I expected. I was already braking, and I didn't actually realise that he was right beside me, or even in front of me, as I went to turn. And I tried to duck in behind him, and I just misjudged it.
That explains it then. It's unfortunate that it caused a little bit of chaos for some drivers behind. But then you put your head together and you tried to chase down the lead. You were chasing Padavani for much of it, and then suddenly you got into the back of him. We were kind of debating what exactly caused it on our end, but it's always different from inside the cockpit. So what's the story for you?
Well, I've had an opportunity to look at that replay as well, and we both braked at the same time. He lifted. He slowed a lot more than what I thought. If you look at the replay, I'm actually still under brakes when I hit him. Unfortunately, just one of those things. He slowed a lot more than what I expected, and I couldn't avoid it.
That sounds pretty close to what we kind of figured happened from us watching it a few times ourselves. Regardless, you extend your points gap. Your main rival, Overbay, has a bit of a bad day. And this leaves us with 3 rounds to go, and you now finding yourself, I want to say, into the double digits ahead of him. I mean, what does that say to you coming into these final rounds? Does this change any of your approach, or is this same as always?
Same as always. I've got to keep my wits about me. I'm racing against good drivers who are easily capable of beating me on the day. I've got to try and keep it as clean as I possibly can.
Absolutely. And again, congratulations on that victory today. I'd say your pace looked like it deserved it.
Well, it's on a bit of a sour note because of those 2 incidents, but thanks very much.
That was Dave Unger. Obviously, not happy to win it in the situations that he did, but a driver who followed him home was Eric Luke, and Nick is going to be talking to the second place finisher.
Absolutely. Eric Luke, we just talked about the lap 1 incident there with David. I'm interested to see your perspective, though, from it, because you started way back in row 4, and you fought your way up to a second place finish.
It's a unique situation because I went and I jumped in and looked at the replay afterwards, and it's kind of a split call. Looking at the replay, it looked like Overbay had to back off, and when he did, that's when Gritzko went up the inside. And I don't think, and I don't know this for sure, certain, and it's not I'm not trying to assign blame, but I don't know if Gritzko would have made the corner or not. If he would have, he wasn't given the opportunity. So it's I think the stewards are going to have a hard time judging that one.
Yeah, for sure. It looked like just some hard racing from the get-go, at least from my perspective of that as well. We saw a lot of battles in front of you. You couldn't quite reel in the likes of Padavani and Unger for the most part, but did you think if they really got battling, you might be able to steal a win here tonight?
I didn't think I was going to. Actually, I didn't think I was going to end up in second to begin with. It was another race just like Road Atlanta. I had opportunities. I just made way too many mistakes. I'll chalk that up to a lack of practice time here. But with the amount of mistakes I made, there was no way I wasn't going to steal anything unless something tragic happened to the 2 up front.
Yeah, absolutely. It is your 4th top 5 of the season, though, so some pretty good results, I'd say, out of 7 races. Heading on over to Sebring next week. You excited to go conquer the bumps there?
Sebring is going to be, we'll call it interesting in the Radical. I haven't raced there in the Radical yet, so this is going to be a chore. It's going to beat you up.
Absolutely. We can't wait to see that race, and hopefully we see another good result from you, and we get to talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. I appreciate it, gentlemen. Have a good night.
That was Eric Luke, second place. And third place has also joined us. Jefferson Padavani comes in at the bottom step of the podium. He started the reverse up on the pole, but before we get to the end of the race, Jefferson, we noticed that you had a 2-second gap early on, and then very quickly it seemed to come down. Was the car not good over a long run, or what happened?
Oh, good evening, guys. Joe, you are talking about just at the beginning or on the end of the race?
The first, I'd say 6 or 7 laps. Suddenly, it seemed like you lost pace, and both Luke and Unger just chased you down very quickly.
Yes. I realized that my throttle wasn't going full sometimes, so I have to kick him a little bit to start again. But I was not having power with the throttle was not getting 100%. It was like 95, not 4. But this doesn't really compromise the result.
And speaking of the results, obviously that was influenced by you having a little bit of contact with David. Now, we got to hear his perspective. What about yours? What is your take? Have you had a chance to look at the replay?
Yes, about my incident with him. Yes, I had. I don't think that he really didn't make this by intentionally. It was a race incident. It's a really he was diving as much as he can, like to get the momentum and to be able to overtake me in the end of the straight, because it doesn't look like, but the turns really don't help the car to if you are too close to the front, you are not able to get on the end. But yes, sometimes this happens. I'm really not so not upset. I was looking. It was a nice battle while it was happening. Yes, but it's okay. Let's move forward. No,
Oh,
no, no,
glad to see
no
good
problems.
sportsmanship between both you
Yep.
and David on the incident. One last one before we
Okay.
let you go.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in the event that we have Overbay close to a championship, and with these 3 rounds left, if you find yourself in a case where you could give him points by handing him a position, are team orders going to come into effect?
Oh, of course. Now, Joe, I really don't have much power to fight, because I was really committed with work on the last month practically. I wasn't being able to practice it, but I will do the best I can to help him now and to help the Alpine Star Geodesk team to get more points in the championship. But as much as I can do for him, you can be sure that I will do. I will do.
Oh, that'll be fascinating to watch as the season goes on. Again, congratulations on a top 3, sir.
Thank you, Joe. Good night, everyone.
That was third place, Jefferson Padavani. So Unger feels bad about the incident, and Padavani says, well, it's no big deal. So everybody taking this in really good spirits, I think. Let's, of course, close it up for the day and give a big thank you to our sponsor, Dream Vacations. If you'd like to check them out, you can go to travelwithanangel.com. Also, a thank you to iRacing for putting us on the iRacing Esports Network. When you get the opportunity, go to their page, their YouTube page, and subscribe. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And then additional thanks go out to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Nick, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. As was mentioned, the next race is Sebring. That'll be Thursday, May 9th at 9 p.m. Eastern. But we also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.